Hello everyone, welcome to another tutorial. It's been a while, so this time I decided to make a tutorial about something a little bit different. I'm gonna take on the map this time something called Invoice Ninja that is used in different companies and sometimes even for private, like in small private companies. So basically, I'm going to show you how to install this software on Debian 11 server with Nginx web server. So what is Invoice Ninja? So Invoice Ninja is an open source self-hosted invoicing software. It's a low-cost alternative to commercial online invoice platforms such as FreshBooks. And Invoice Ninja provides a hosted invoice service. But if you like to self-host the software, you can follow all of my instructions that I will give you, and you can actually have this self-hosting invoicing software on your platform, installed on your platform. So what you can actually do with this software? So with Invoice Ninja, you can send invoices to your clients by using your own domain name and brand, manage invoicing for multiple businesses all under one account, save time by automatically billing long-term clients with recurring invoices, easily create and send beautiful proposals to your customers, attach third-party files to invoices, create project tasks and track time, organize and plan your clients' work with a visual project management tool, allow your clients to see all their transactions with you in one glance, request deposits and partial payments using the same invoice again and again, receive notifications when a client reviews any pays your invoice, well, and many more features. So basically, what are the requirements? What you'll need is Debian 11 OS running on a remote server, and you can, well, at least 1 GB of RAM is required, of course, for this. You can have a 30-day trial period, and after that it's like $4 a month, I think, if I remember it correctly. Well, okay, so basically you will also need a domain name, so your clients can see the invoices via your domain name. Of course, if you want to use this software without the domain name, I will actually show you how to do it, how you can use this software without registering a domain name. That's the basically purpose of this tutorial, because it's easy to have a domain name and set up Invoice Ninja. It's a little bit different when you don't have one and you want to run this software. Okay, so let's just start. I have my Debian 11 Bullseye server running. Remotely I'm connected through my SSH. So first thing that we're gonna install are gonna be small things like wget that is required. I already got it. Next one is curl. Okay, next of course we're gonna install sudo. I'm gonna at least check if I have it installed. I got it. I'm gonna install locate, which is gonna be also pretty handy. Okay, I got it as well. Fine, so I'm gonna clear the screen. First thing we need to do, of course, we would need to go to Invoice Ninja. So let's check the releases. And it's of course on GitHub, and the current release is 5.5.45. Okay, so we're gonna use this one, of course, and we're gonna do wget. I'm gonna put the name of the releases here, so github.com Invoice Ninja releases download, and the version 5.5.4, and it's a zip file. After that, we of course, when we download it, we're gonna unzip it. Okay, so unfortunately my internet connection is pretty shitty, so it's gonna take me a while to download this package. So what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna stop my video for now, and I'm gonna resume the video once everything here is downloaded. So we'll see you soon. Okay, so since the installation is done, or actually not the installation, but the package is being downloaded, now we need to install unzip. Next thing what we need to do, we're gonna create a directory for Invoice Ninja. So I'm gonna make a directory. Invoice Ninja is gonna be located in var www. So the same kind of directory that you actually saw me using in my WordPress video, and possibly maybe in Joomla videos as well, as I usually use this directory. Okay, next we're gonna of course unzip our Invoice Ninja zip file to this directory. Next what we need to do, which is actually pretty important, we need to change our ownership to this particular folder. So we will need to change it to www.data-user. Once this is done, and there we go. I'm gonna change the ownership. Our next step, we're gonna install MariaDB server and MariaDB client. So we're gonna do sudo apt install MariaDB server and MariaDB client. Config yes. After that, we're gonna go to MySQL. Once the database is set up and ready to use, you can always use MySQL and go inside the database if you want to make some changes. Change the username, password, or in general change some kind of details about the clients or even users of Invoice Ninja. Remember, it's the easiest way to do it. It's from the database standpoint, of the database perspective. just requires like a basic knowledge of MySQL, basically. Alright, the installation is proceeding. And it's done. Okay, now we're gonna do sudo MySQL. So we're going to MySQL, and now we're gonna create, of course, the database. Mine is gonna be called Invoice Ninja. Next, we're gonna create a user for the database and the password. So my user is gonna be just called Ninja, and the password is gonna be identified by password. Next, we're gonna grant all the privileges for the database to this user. Next, we're gonna flush the privileges and we're gonna exit. Okay, next thing, we'll use curl. Okay. Just wait a moment. Okay, once this is done, we're gonna go ahead and install PHP. From what I remember, on Invoice Ninja, when I read the website, they request to use PHP 8.1 if you're proceeding with the installation. Let's check. Invoice Ninja server requirements PHP 8.1 with the following extensions. Here you have all the extensions that need to be installed as well, and of course FPM if you're using Nginx, which we will also be using, MySQL with MariaDB, of course Nginx or Apache. So yeah, so of course I'm gonna go with a long installation of PHP. I'm gonna install basic PHP, BCMath, GMP, file info, GD, MBstring, PDO, XML, curl, zip, GMP, MySQL, FPM. So all of those additional modules as well. We're gonna install them. So it's gonna be installing. Let us check. In general, they ask in the installation guide that you use either Ubuntu or CentOS or Debian Arch Linux or Enterprise. Even you can use Docker and install Invoice Ninja on Docker. Although you don't have here anywhere Debian, so I'm doing it now on a Debian server because the recommended is Ubuntu, but we're gonna see how it goes. And the installation of PHP is proceeding, so let's take a look what's gonna be next. Well, our next step, we're gonna change the directory to the default var www Invoice Ninja, and then we're gonna actually copy the .env example file. Okay, so what's an .env file? I'm gonna show you in a moment. So first of all, let's change the directory here. And now from this directory, we're gonna do sudo copy .env.example.env, and now we're gonna open sudo nano.env file. So this is the basic .env file, where you can specify quite a lot of different options regarding Invoice Ninja. For example, in here you have all the required fields for your database. So localhost, dbhost, localhost, database. So the name of your database one is of course different than this one. Mine is gonna be Invoice Ninja. Database username, of course mine is Ninja, and database password, well, mine is different as well. Okay, so when you, of course, let's say you want to change the password to your main database, or you forgot the password to your main database, you can always open the .env file, and you can go here and change the main password for your database. You can of course do it using Artisan, which I'm gonna show later on as well, but the easiest way to change the password is just here. Okay, let's go down a little bit. Of course, we got Redis here. Here you have all the required fields for mail. If you want to set up your emails, you need to use those fields. So of course, mail or mailer. For that one, you choose SMTP, of course. Here, mailhouse, you need to choose the SMTP settings from your email provider, basically. So if you are using Gmail, you will input here SMTP settings from Gmail, and so on and so forth, depending on what kind of internet mail you are using, or internet mail provider you are using. Of course, you have to specify the port here, because every provider has a little bit different port. Of course, you have to provide your username for your email address that you have, and the username and the password. So encryption, of course, you have to change this to TLS, because this is the encryption required. Mail from address, you have to input here your email address, and of course mail from name, and you can put here some kind of name that you choose. So that's basically if it goes to SMTP settings. Yeah, it's a pretty short file, it's not long. As you can see, we're gonna go back to it. Okay, so after making small changes to, of course, the database, setting up the database here, I'm gonna save the file. I'm gonna clear the screen. Next thing, what we're gonna do, we're gonna take ownership. So again, the .env file, and we're setting up the www-data user. Next thing, what we're gonna do, we're gonna use sudo php 8.1, and we're gonna use Artisan. That is an application that resides in Invoice Ninja, and we're gonna generate a key. to yes. Okay. Next thing, I'm gonna use artisan again. Okay, choose yes again. I'm gonna have to wait a moment. Okay, so this is done. And of course, next thing what we need to do is install Nginx. So I'm gonna do a sudo apt install in Nginx, because I'm gonna host it on Nginx. You can host it on Apache if you want. I'm choosing this. It's easier for me. Okay, so we have this set up as well. Okay. Right, so let's see what do we have here. What's next? So next we're gonna use nano, and we're gonna open at cnginx.the invoiceninja.com. So this is gonna be our main configuration file that we're gonna put everything in. And here we're gonna do the config file, of course. So this is our config file. So I'm gonna use, of course, port 443 because I'm gonna generate an HTTPS self-signed certificate, because we're operating with not a paid domain. We don't have a paid domain name, so my server name is also some kind of bogus Invoice Ninja.test. If I bought a domain name, I would input it here, of course. But I'm gonna do it with an IP address, and I need to change my IP address here to the one that I'm actually gonna be using, which is gonna be 36. Okay, we're specifying the port, SSL, some kind of bogus name for server. Of course, this is important because you're in root, you're specifying the main folder that is going to be used. So it's not Invoice Ninja, it's public. We are including two snippets here, self-signed config snippet and a SSL parameters config snippet, which we are going to create as well. You can change the max body size if you wish. So we got gzpon, okay, location, PDF location. Okay, this is quite important. Location.php. Remember to have this. You gotta have this include the snippets. Of course, this FPM, because we are basically now using the Nginx installation, so we need this as well. And I think I was scratched from my server. Gotta check. Yep, probably I was. Probably some internet connection failures. Let's check. Yep. Okay, sorry about that, but sometimes it happens, unfortunately. Okay, so let's open the configuration file once again. Yes, just gonna input it here once again and save it. It won't go away. Okay, nice. So like I said, the most important thing is also to include this parameter, this, because FPM is very important because I'm using Nginx. If you use Apache, it's not valid. And denying everything with .ht, basically. Okay, so I'm gonna say exit this. Okay, next thing that is pretty important in Invoice Ninja, basically in setting up everything. After you make the whole installation and prepare your configuration file, you need to of course enable HTTPS. You can do it with certbot if you have, of course, if you bought a domain name, you can use certbot and just generate a certificate with Let's Encrypt, of course. So another thing I wanted to talk about is setting up cron jobs. Setting up cron jobs, I just need to make a quick glance on the configuration files. Yeah, so as you can see, even on the Invoice Ninja main site, you can see that ensure you set the scheduler under the web server. So I'm gonna use this as well. Sorry about that. So I think I'm just gonna use it from my notes. Invoice Ninja relies heavily on this Laravel scheduler. For this to operate, it requires that the cron job needs to be configured, and this record needs to be entered in the cron job. Okay, so let's go to cron. I'm just gonna set it up. Let's go down. Okay, thanks. Okay, as you can see, we got it here, so it's all set up. Next thing, let's check, because I remember, because as you can see, if you are using shared hosting, then you will need to add an additional parameter to the cron command. So this of course, what do you have here? That's a different thing. And of course the final steps setting up the .env, we've done that already. Alright, so we have the cron for now set up. We're gonna go back to it as well. Because basically you will need to, or maybe let's just do it right away. We won't then need to come back here anymore, because we need to set up cron jobs to send recurring invoices and email reminders. So we're gonna add the following lines. Maybe let's do it a little bit differently. Just gonna scratch this. And I'm gonna change this, of course, to PHP 8.8.1. Okay, I'm gonna save everything. Right. So the 2 cron jobs will run at 8 AM every day. You can of course also run manually those jobs using Artisan. So you would need to actually do the following. If you want to run manually those cron jobs, you can do this: sudo user bin php, of course 8.1, sorry, this is 8.1, and this var www invoice ninja artisan. Ninja send the recurring, right? So you're using Artisan app with this command, right? Okay, so let's now check what's next. Well, after all of this configuration and installation, we need to actually create an SSL certificate for HTTPS, so let's do that. So I'm gonna use, of course, OpenSSL. My certificate is gonna be called Invoice Ninja certificate. My key is gonna be called Invoice Ninja key. So I'm gonna use RSA 2048. You're gonna specify, of course, your CN, which in my case is gonna be my IP address, and of course, again here, my IP address as well. Okay, so I think this is all. Let's create both of them. We got them here. So they need to be actually in a moment. Now we need to we're gonna create a snippet. With nano Nginx snippets, so we're gonna create a self-signed configuration snippet, which is already implemented in our configuration file, main configuration file.env. And here you need to put like 2 keys, of course. Sorry, not 2 keys, but a certificate and the key. So you're inputting SSL certificate and SSL certificate key. And of course you need to specify the certificate and the key. So Invoice Ninja certificate, Invoice Ninja key. And I need to actually take them into those folders. So etcssl certs and etcssl private for the key. So since I have created those files in a different place, I need to now move them to this location. So the certificate goes here, and of course the key goes to private. Okay, so let's just for a moment open the private. Let's change the directory. And there we go, we have the key here. The same, of course, goes for the certificate. We can change the directory to the, and we can look for our Invoice Ninja. There we go. Here's the certificate. Okay, so we got both of those files where we need them. We got this SSL snippet create. Now we need to create another snippet. Which is called SSL parameters. So we're gonna create, of course, in the snippets. We got that one included in our configuration as well. And here we're gonna input the following things. So we're gonna use SSL protocol TLS version 1.3 server. So we're gonna prefer server ciphers on server SSL ciphers. This is this is just like a small sample, because you can have like a shitload of those ciphers here. And if you want to see how many you can have and how large can it be, you can just check out my WordPress video, if I'm correct. I think I made a WordPress installation video, I think by part 1, where I specified the ciphers, because I also was making the website configuration using Nginx. So this I also created as a parameters config file, and it was I think more extensive. So okay, what do we have here? Of course, this is an SSL session cache. Session tickets, stapling is off, and stapling verify is off. I'm gonna turn on. We're gonna see what it gives us when it's on. I'm gonna save it. Clear everything. Okay. And basically at the end we need to jump back to our .env file. We'll have to jump back to our env file, so we're gonna change the directory, and we're gonna open .env file, and at the end of this file we will add one additional line. Query connection equals database. Okay, so okay, let's check. So as you can see, you will need to update the query connection variable in the .env file as follows. So we're using this. Again, if you are on shared hosting, it is possible to get the queries working by defining a new cron job. So remember about that, okay? This is also for cron jobs. And of course we got here another thing called supervisor. I think I remember it was somewhere around here. Got the email configuration, of course. Right. That is also quite important. So after actually make any changes here in the .env file, after that you should use artisan application. If you check the ls, you can see the application is right here. So all you need to do basically is, because after making changes in the configuration file, it is recommended to actually flush the cache. Okay, I'm just looking around. Okay, so first we're gonna use PHP artisan config cache. So that's the first thing. As you can see, configuration cached successfully. So it's the first thing. Second thing, let's do PHP artisan config clear. Configuration cache cleared successfully. Okay, so this is how you should proceed after making any changes to the configuration file using this artisan application. If you want to know more about this application, you can easily find a lot of information on the web. Okay, so pretty easy to use. I wanted to also talk about changing if we're talking about artisan and using different things, I will show you how you can actually change your main database password, because you can do it in the .env file, or you can do it with artisan app. And the easiest way to do it is first you need to use PHP artisan thinker. Okay, and after that, what you need to do, you need to use bcrypt, and here you will input your new password and then just hit enter, and the new password is going to be applied to your database. Okay, so of course I'm not going to do it because I don't need it. Of course, on the website, on the main website of Invoice Ninja, they also talk about a thing called supervisor. So if you would like to improve the performance of your Invoice Ninja installation, then turning on the query system will dramatically improve the performance of the application. If you prefer to manage the queries with supervisor, then you will want to disable the internal Invoice Ninja comments which start the query. To do this, simply set the following in .env var. So if you want to use this application that they suggest called supervisor, that you need to also of course install and configure on your server, then you would need to go to the env file, and at the end of this file you would need to input actually this. So internal query enabled false. When you do that, you will disable, like they are saying, the internal Invoice Ninja commands which start the query, and then you can proceed with the installation of supervisor and configuring everything for it. Of course I'm not gonna save it, but I can show you the required things that you need to have to install the supervisor. So you of course need to install it with get install supervisor. That's the first thing. After that you need to change the directory to etc supervisor const.d. After that, in this directory you're gonna create using nano the laravel -worker configuration file, and after that you need to of course configure the whole supervisor application. So maybe I'm gonna show you at the end of this video how you can do it. Let's for now leave it, because this is optional of course. Alright, so we basically configured most of the stuff. We have our SSL setup, our HTTPS, certificates. The only thing that actually remains, we can now do Nginx. Of course, -t. I'm gonna check what we have here. Right, the bind. Okay, I guess I left something here, so I guess I will need to go back. As you can see, we have SSL statement that was ignored. Issuer certificate not found. Okay, so what we'll need to do, we're gonna need to do two things here. First of all, I will need to go back to the .env file. Let's open the file. Okay, I'm gonna open the Invoice Ninja config file, and of course I need to change this IP address because it's not the one that I'm gonna use. This is the correct one. Okay, so that's the first thing. Second thing, I'm gonna need to open our configuration file with SSL parameters. So I'm gonna do this. So snippets SSL parameters. I'm gonna turn off this stapling and verification as well. Okay, now let's check. We're gonna do Nginx -t. Okay, syntax is okay, and the test was successful. Now I'm gonna restart Nginx, check out the status. Okay, so everything is up and running. If you would like to actually add more security measures to your Nginx, you can also add additional headers into the configuration. You can make a snippet called headers and then add some headers. You can also make some SQL, like make an SQL snippet and add some things that are gonna also protect your Invoice Ninja website, well, not website, application, sorry. If you're interested in those things, you can also check my WordPress video. I think in part 2 I have specified quite a lot of different things regarding the additional snippets that you can use in Nginx, like headers, like SQL, and different kind of measures that you can use. Just remember that you have to test them, because some of the headers were causing problems on the website. In general, when I was trying to enforce them, they were shutting down different JavaScripts and JavaScript, and well, I had many different problems. So just remember, if you're applying something, first check 3 times after you actually put it in production, everyday use. Okay, so going back to our installation, so after all of this mess, we can finally go to our website. So not the website but our web browser. Go to our web browser, HTTPS. We're gonna use the IP address because it's specified for the IP address 36, and I believe it was set up. Okay. Yeah, I understand. And here we go. We got Invoice Ninja set up. The first page that we need to go through. If it goes to HTTPS, well, in my case, it sees that the connection is secured because it has been verified by my Bitdefender, as you can see. So I will not have this every time I go to Invoice Ninja. I won't have this annoying thing popping up that your connection is not secure. Of course, it might be different in your case because if you don't use Bitdefender, use some kind of other maybe antivirus protection for your computer. Because remember that this is a presentation, this is a test made on a VirtualBox, because my Debian server is running on VirtualBox and I'm basically running Windows, so that's why I'm talking about Bitdefender. Opening up the website as I'm testing it from the Windows environment. So I don't know what you have installed, of course, but if you have this, then this antivirus, then you won't have this kind of problem. If it goes to different antiviruses, I don't know, you'd have to search. Maybe they will also add it to trusted, and you won't have this problem as well. And if you don't have any antivirus, then maybe if the certificate, you can also, of course, download the certificate and try to install it as well, because you can just open up, like, let's say WinSCP, right? I'm gonna close this. Let's new session. Let's go here. This doesn't exist anymore, so don't pay any attention to this. Okay, let's check. It's opening. So as you can see, if we go to our SSL, where's this? Etsy SSL, and now we got contact D. This is SSH, sorry about that. I need SSL, not SSH. There you go, and we have here cert and private. So certificates, of course, if we look for Invoice Ninja, there we go, we have the certificate. I can now, of course, pull the certificate up here to my computer, and I can install the certificate. Just import it, right? Okay. I can import the certificate into the trusted certificates on my computer, and then you shouldn't have a problem with this HTTPS bullcrap popping out. Of course, remember it's only self-signed. Okay, but coming back to this, we are now basically in the step 1 of the config. So of course here we will need to input the address, IP address. Gonna do this test PDF. Success, of course. So now we got host, localhost, port number, and database name was in my case it was Invoice Ninja, username, and of course password. Test. Of course we got the email settings, so the thing that I was talking previously, when you go to the .env, if you change from log to SMTP, because you want to set up SMTP, so first from name, so here for example I'm gonna just say let's say I'm gonna set it up like this. Now let's say gmail.com. Let's say username, which is gonna be, I don't know, let's say something like this. Okay, host name, so here I'm gonna just input like SMTP, I don't know what kind of SMTP, mtp.gmail something, I don't know what kind of SMTP Gmail has, I'm just shooting blanks here. So you have to check if you got Gmail account or whatever. What kind of port number do they have? I have no idea what kind of port number Gmail uses. I'm just gonna say something like that, maybe, or maybe not. Encryption, of course, you need to use SSL TLS here, and the password, so password for your email account. And then you just need to send the test email, so it's gonna send the email to your email account that you set up. I'm gonna change this to log, and the final thing that you need to set up is of course the administrative user that is gonna be logging into your invoices. So let's just use test. And the password for it. Agree. Submit. Okay, so basically we are done with all the configuration, but we have this error. Warning here. So if you get this after the installation, what you will need to do, we need to pull up our server here. I'm gonna clear everything, and basically if you encounter this 500 server error when using Invoice Ninja, you can always check the logs, of course. The logs are basically in this directory, so Invoice Ninja storage logs. Let's check cd storage cd logs, and here we have the log. If we open the log, and there you have the time, of course. Production error, unable to create local build file, and there we have framework. Right, so basically most likely it's a permission problem, so it can be easily fixed. I'm gonna just clear all of this, and you will need to run this command. So you're setting up the owner, again www-data for this data folder. What we're gonna do now, I'm gonna restart Nginx. I'm gonna reload the page. And we have our Invoice Ninja login screen. And the password. So basically you're providing all the things that you provided in the last step. So your email address and your password. You can use the two-factor authentication here, which is an optional. Secret is an optional. So okay, so I'm gonna change it to the dark one. Save it. Company name. And well, basically now you have Invoice Ninja set up. Well, what do we have here? We have some kind of errors on our side. The crons need to be enabled. Okay, so remember about this. What we have here, recommend using the desktop app for the best performance. So you can of course use the desktop app if you want. You can download it. So as you can see, all we needed to do is we'll just reload everything, because as you remember, we entered the cron tab and we specified all the cron jobs, because we did it previously. He didn't actually knew about it, so after reloading, everything has been set. Alright, so now let's go back for a brief moment to this supervisor application that I was talking before. So I'm gonna close this. So if you would like to use the supervisor application, like I said, you will need to, let's change the directory. So open env file, you need to go to the bottom of this file, and we need to add this line. One another thing that you can use after actually making any kind of changes to the env file, which is also connected to using Artisan app, you can use Artisan Optimize. So I'm gonna use it, Artisan Optimize. Maybe we're gonna try to use it like this, changing the okay. So after that, we're gonna proceed with the installation of supervisor. I'm gonna change the directory. And we're gonna create, of course, the configuration file. And in this configuration file, which looks like something like this, you need to, of course, remember to make certain changes to this configuration file that will suit you. So after that, we're gonna do supervisor ctl reread, and it's got our worker configuration. Gonna do again. Sorry about that. Supervisor ctl update. We got can't reread. So basically, our config file we have something. Process name. User forge. Well, the only user I can remember. Maybe I'm gonna change it like this. Because that's the user I have on my can't read username. Okay, so well, basically, I think I'm not gonna dwell on it because probably it will take too much time. I didn't actually use this option. It's an optional option, of course. I would strongly suggest considering it since it actually improves the work of this application, but it's probably fairly simple to set up, but I didn't take too much time to look upon it, and probably there is just a small thing that I need to change in the configuration file that will make it work. But I'm just gonna skip it for now. So basically, after setting this up, you're gonna work with supervisor application, and it's gonna speed up your Invoice Ninja. Okay, let's just change this for now. Okay, let's jump to MySQL for a moment. I'm gonna use Invoice Ninja. Or maybe since I don't remember. Okay, since I guess my internet connection died on me, I'm not able to actually show you anymore anything regarding this. Okay, well, so basically, after all the configuration is done, you can of course use MySQL. If you go into MySQL and select everything with this select everything from the users table, because there is a users table in Invoice Ninja, of course. Then you will be able to see all the users that are at this moment connected to the database and that were created, and of course your main user that was administrated. And if you would like to, let's say, add a user to this bunch, you can always use this, like insert into users, first name, last name, email, account ID and password, and you then add the values. Let's say this value, of course the account ID and the password, right? So on the other hand, if you would like to update an existing, let's say, email address of a user or a name or something else, it's fairly easy. Just need to do an update. You're just updating the users. You're setting, for example, email. This is the new email, where the ID of the user is 4 or whichever, depending on which user you're changing the email address to. You can of course change other things as well, like this, depending on which field in the table you would like to edit. So that's the only thing I actually at the end wanted to say. That's gonna be it, I think, for Invoice Ninja. Like, subscribe, of course. If you feel like being a supporter, you can always check my Patreon page. So thanks for listening, and well, I will see you in the next one.